Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Agents of SEQ podcast, where I sit down with some of the most successful and respected real estate agents working right here in one of Australia's most beautiful and sought-after regions, Southeast Queensland. This podcast gives you a genuine, behind-the-scenes look at who these agents are as people, what makes them stand out in the industry, and most importantly, can help you decide if they're the right fit to guide your property journey. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. You might just be listening to the perfect person to sell your property. Welcome back to another episode of Elite Real Estate Agents of Southeast Queensland podcast. Today's guest is Benjamin Waite, a name that's become synonymous with amazing sales results in Beenleigh, Eagleby and surrounding regions. Now, as the principal of LJ Hooker Beenleigh and a seasoned real estate professional with over 15 years in the game, Benjamin is known for combining local knowledge with fierce negotiation skills to deliver outstanding outcomes for his clients. He's consistently ranked as one of the top performing agents in the area, with hundreds of successful sales under his belt and a wall of client reviews that speak for themselves. Whether he's advising investors, helping families upsize, or guiding sellers through a big move, Benjamin brings clarity, confidence, and a no BS approach to every transaction. He's built a reputation on not just results, but trust. And today we get to find out what drives him, what he's learned, and why he is one of the most respected agents in Southeast Queensland. Benjamin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
You're welcome. All right. So I want to start by finding a little bit about you. Not that you the agent, but you the man. You've come from a quite interesting background, haven't you? Now I know you grew up in Melbourne.
Yep.
And sport was a big part of your upbringing, wasn't it?
Well, it's in Melbourne. Melbourne's the sporting capital of Australia, so we all kind of do a bit of sport down there. Played footy, AFL, that is. Like to surf and run and stay fit and go to the gym and kind of all those good things. We moved up to Queensland so that we could do more of that in nice weather.
Right.
Really?
Well, I'm not going to let you get away with that. You played footy. Come on, tell us a little bit more about your footy career.
I played at a reasonably high level. I coached professionally for a while too, so probably wasn't as good as what I hoped or thought that I could have been from a playing perspective, probably a coaching perspective too, for that matter. But no, it was good. I put a lot of time and effort into it through my my teens and 20s. It gave me a lot of lessons in life that looking back at it, I appreciate, but at the time I probably maybe overlooked. And it's kind of given me a nice foundation or skill set to what I kind of do today, which is essentially negotiate for a living.
Sure. Well, look, it's interesting you say that, because one of my questions was going to be, through your upbringing and maybe through sport, what was something that you learnt that you now are utilising in your career as a real estate agent?
I leverage a lot of stuff from kind of the sport and the team aspect of that and the competitiveness of it, especially at the elite level. As a player, if you're not playing at the highest level, you typically kind of, just pitching your own barrow. So when I was negotiating contracts, I was negotiating that for myself. I didn't have a player's agent or somebody doing that. At the time, I didn't put a huge amount of weight into it, but I kind of look back going, that's a pretty good foundation. Being able to analysing your performance, I think is extremely important in real estate. I think it's important in life full stop, but I think in real estate it's extremely important because you're only as good as your last performance. Being able to be critical of your performance and yourself, knowing where you can improve, knowing what your strengths are and your weaknesses are, play to your strengths, understand your weaknesses. Your weaknesses will never become your strength, but if you can understand where your weaknesses are, you might be able to employ people that can kind of cover off on that. So I recognize all of that. Being able to give and accept feedback, I think being in a competitive team environment will allow you to do that. I come across a lot of people who can't accept or give feedback. It's a practice skill. So I think sport's very good at that. The team element of it, and that's a cliche, but it still has merit.
For sure.
I think also I really And again, I didn't realize this until I was probably into real estate a little bit more. And I'll correct you really quickly. You kind of gave me 15 years experience. That's in sales and marketing.
Right.
5 years in real estate specifically.
Well, look, that brings me to the next question. What were you in before real estate exactly?
Well, I did marketing and psychology at uni while I was playing second grade footy. Or do you guys, what do you call that in rugby? It's first grade, second grade?
I'm AFL. You play
okay.
VFL,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let's call it what it is. Your Casey Demons, which is one step below my beloved Melbourne Demons.
Yeah, and we were playing when we would just lose everything. Okay, we actually were winning, but the AFL team was losing. So yeah, that was fun.
You never quite made the list, did you, of an AFL?
No,
side?
I was either too short or too slow, but it was fun.
Yep,
it was good. Yeah, what was your question again, Adam?
what
you got me
roles,
reminiscing?
Yeah, what roles were you in before?
Yes.
Tell me what you did and how it led you into real estate.
Yeah, so played footy, and that was a big part. And while I was doing that, I was at uni. It probably took me a little bit longer than maybe it should have.
Yep.
But I was enjoying myself along the way. So I did marketing and psych there, and then I got into brand management, marketing. So managing brands that would be imported in from established brands overseas, and we would then market them or sell them through Coles, Woolworths, Bunnings, the chemist chains, the health food shops. So my father and I had a business that we would manufacture overseas, and we would sell again into those chains. So that was where I kind of really honed my marketing skills.
Sure.
And brand management, and super hyper competitive environment. To be able to get your property, ranged in a supermarket was extremely difficult, very, very expensive, very hard. But then also the ability I kind of love the fact that I could try and market or promote a product to a buyer that I would never ever meet or see. Like I would be in Melbourne, they could be shopping in a Coles in Perth, looking at a shelf, and how can I influence their decision to pick my product over something else? So that's kind of where I really got into the consumer behavior and the psychology of a buyer, and then the marketing aspects around that. So I did that for a while. Then I went into, my wife works in elite sport as historically a physio, but now she's kind of senior management with AIS, and she went for a gig at Canberra, at the AIS in Canberra, and I actually didn't think she'd get it. So I said, look, go for it. I didn't want to live in Canberra.
Is she going to listen to this podcast?
So she got the job because she's a gun, and so we relocated to Canberra, and there was not a huge amount for me there in senior management, marketing, multinationals, but there was football there, AFL, and at that time it was NEFL, so it was kind of the VFL, but it was across kind of Northern Territory down to Canberra.
I remember that. Yep.
I ended up getting a full-time coaching job with one of the Canberra NEFL sides. So I did that for a few years, and then had an opportunity to come back down to Melbourne to coach at Richmond when we were kind of winning all those flags. So then I was in the coaching landscape, again, super competitive, and that was around motivating young players, individuals.
Man management.
Intrinsic, trying to work out what their intrinsic motivators are, the whole people management thing, strategic, tactics, all that kind of stuff. So that was really, really cool. It was definitely not marketing, but it was still that leadership, that management kind of space.
When did you move into real estate?
Yeah, well,
when and how?
Well, so at that time I was living in Melbourne at Richmond coaching, and I thought that was a career I wanted to do.
Yep.
And my wife was still working in Canberra at the AIS, and she was kind of finishing out her contract, and she's from Perth originally, so she loved the idea of nippers and beach and surf, life saving. Sure. She really didn't want to come back to Melbourne, so we together identified that we would like to move to the Gold Coast from a lifestyle perspective. When I left coaching, my old man actually asked me, he's like, look, he's been in property for a long, long time. He was a real estate agent, in his 20s, and then got into property development. He's kind of done that pretty much as long as I've known. So with my marketing background and his property development background, I was always around property. I had my first property when I was 20. I've had a decent property portfolio along the way, so I kind of knew it from an investor perspective and from a buyer's perspective and a landlord's perspective. And we kind of formalised a business together with development, and I would look after the kind of the marketing and the prospecting, and I was kind of learning more about the development and how to do feasibilities on prospective sites and the nuances around council and all that kind of stuff. So we were doing that for a number of years in Victoria, and then I moved up to Queensland. So we were kind of looking into Queensland and branching out, and then COVID hit. So as everybody, we kind of didn't know what was going on. We shut all our developments down. We didn't pay ourselves any wages. I kind of had to go and get a real job again. And I thought, well, my marketing skill set and my development skill set, very, very unique. I haven't come across an agent who has got that skill set.
Yep.
A lot of agents seem to just kind of, come out of school and just go, hey, I want to be a real estate agent, which is great. There's very little barriers to get into the industry. So I love that, but it's also a bit of a worry as well, because then you can have some cowboys that can get in the industry and maybe do the wrong thing. So I'd come from quite a unique, broad base of I suppose, experiences and skills. I was looking, LJ Hooker Beenleigh had a job that someone left, and I kind of, interviewed, and I was actually tossing up whether I'd go with commercial or whether I'd go with residential. I was kind of leaning to commercial, but I'm glad I went with a residential because I recognised that the area was in a growth area. I recognised that it was very similar to kind of an area that I grew up in, so it was quite blue collar, quite first time buyer.
Knew the demographic.
Yeah, I was familiar with the demographic, but also I felt that with my skill set, I probably could make a bit of an impact with maybe some of the other people that are operating that I come across when I was looking for development sites.
Sure.
And yeah, sure enough. And I also kind of entertained, because I live in the Gold Coast. We moved to the Gold Coast, and I thought, well, do I work in the Gold Coast where I live? Super competitive, again, very well entrenched real estate agents. Everybody wants to sell the $2-3 million houses beachfront. Everybody wants to sell those.
Yep.
And look, the ego of me kind of wanted me to do that too.
Yep.
Who doesn't? But I kind of looked and went, Logan, and it had a bad name then. It was before it really is what it is now.
Yep.
So the property prices were really crummy from an agent perspective and income perspective. So it was really a volume game there.
Yep.
And I kind of sat down and did a bit of a SWOT analysis on it and go, all right, well, do I sell less, maybe make the same money, but it's going to be super competitive, and I'm going to have to spend a bit of money to break in.
Yep.
And the guys who I'm breaking into have got big budgets. They're well entrenched. They're already around. Or do I go to an area that is new, low barriers to entry, in my opinion, and I can
make your name quickly.
Yeah, correct, and build up the volume. And I think with my skill set, my marketing skill set, my management skill set, and my experiences, I was able to execute that.
No, and you have. I mean, that's why I've got you here on this podcast. You've been incredibly successful in a very short space of time. We're talking, just 4 to 5 years ago, and now you are the principal of that office.
Well, I would like to have done that sooner.
Of course you would.
But the incumbent principal didn't want to give it to me yet. No, I think I think at the end of the day, it was probably the right decision. It kind of all worked out, which was quite good. I think within 7 months, I was maybe the market share leader in my suburb, which was good. And we're talking COVID. That was a challenging time to get into any industry, a new industry, let alone kind of real estate. No one was wanting to sell or buy, so that was a challenging time. But obviously, in hindsight, the government stimulus and what happened, it was a no-brainer what was going to happen.
Yep.
But at the time, no one really knew that. 2020, it was a tough year, but I kind of developed a plan and I stuck to the process, and it worked.
Fantastic. You're now a selling principal?
Yep.
How does that differ just to being a salesperson?
Well, I wear a few hats. I've got a couple of businesses external to the real estate, the LJ Hooker business as well. So my ultimate goal is to not be a selling principal. From my experience with coaching and managing, I think management is a job unto itself. And to be able to do it properly, you need to give it your full attention. To be able to coach and mentor people. 5 years into real estate, there is so many similarities between real estate as an industry and competitive sport, professional sport. You've got other teams out there that have got higher budgets than you that want to pinch your talent. I'm a business owner. My talent is my real estate agents.
Yep.
There's offices down the road that will pay more to try and pinch my talent. I've got to create a culture that my talent wants to stay with me rather than go for the higher paycheck. So you got to have strategies and game plans around all of that. You got to get buy-in. You got to motivate people. You've got KPIs and you've got performance the metrics that you want to. So all of that is extremely similar. So I've kind of leveraged my skill, my experience in sport and coaching into now what is a leadership role at LJ Hooker. I've got a business partner that she helps out a lot too. Ultimately, I wanted to be able to do that, in my opinion, to be able to do that effectively and give my agents and my staff the attention that they deserve. I don't think I can be listing as well, because listing and selling, and if you speak to any agent, it is saturating.
Yep.
As soon as you go away on holiday, there'll be a seller that you've nurtured for 4 years, and you're not available for a week. They'll go with somebody else. There is no loyalty.
Cutthroat.
It is crazy. So you've got to be all focused.
In. Yep.
And even if you're distracted slightly, even if you're around and you're distracted, you lose business. So, so that's kind of challenging. I think systems, and I'm big on systems. Systems will help alleviate or reduce some of those peaks and troughs that you'll get, or the troughs at least. But ultimately, my goal is to kind of bring people in to take over my business, my listing business, so that I can concentrate on.
And you nurture them so they do well, you do well,
Absolutely.
the office does well.
That's the beauty of it.
Your clients do well.
Yep.
Fantastic. Can you describe your selling style to me, and maybe anything you believe about selling that others don't?
My approach to it is scalable service.
Cutthroat, take no prisoners.
Always. We love the thrill of the chase,
Yep.
definitely, and we love to beat somebody else to a listing.
Of course.
I tend to do that
I
more
don't
often than
think
I don't,
anyone
which
can
is
be
lovely.
successful in the game without that.
No. I think my method or my approach to is scalable service. I thought that I'm a little bit different to a lot of people. I'm happy with B+ service if it's scalable.
Right.
So if I'm giving B+ service to you, if I'm selling 10 houses or 110 houses, my service is consistent across everybody. So very systems focused. I think like if I'm talking to a client, I'm very honest. I'm very big on the messaging and the crafting the campaign, the marketing campaign. And we've got, tested and proven systems that kind of, support that.
Perfect. Career moment you're really proud of?
Well, I love always breaking a record.
Yep.
I think we've had a 5-year, as long as I've been in the game, my average sale price compared to every other agent in my focus marketing area has been higher.
Fantastic.
So at the moment, it's 8.6% higher. That's a chunk of money.
That's a lot when you're talking about a property.
Yeah. So that can be 50, 60 grand
Yeah.
in my market. At one stage, it was 16% higher.
What do you do to do that, Ben?
Well, it's a secret sauce, Adam.
We've only got millions of listeners out here on this podcast.
Yeah. I think providing service to the buyer, nurturing the buyer, conditioning the buyer to pay what ultimately you ask them is a difference. I've got
showing them the value.
Yeah, I've got situations where the buyer will just pay what I tell them to pay.
Right.
Ethically and morally, of course, right? But I've been dealing with this guy for 6 months, and sometimes that buyer will go and buy off another agent, another property that I haven't had the listing, or they missed out, and I know they've paid a great price because of all this work that I've put into them.
Yep.
So, but the passion that I have is growing the area.
Yep.
It sounds corny and cliche, but honestly, probably the biggest kick that I've got is that, Eagleby, 80% of my sales are in Eagleby, the suburb.
Yep.
And I've grown that from, and I've but based on the stats and my average sale price compared to everybody else, I can confidently say that I have grown that to where it is today.
Sure.
And
obviously
there's some market factors around that, but yeah.
And it's Eagleby and Beenleigh, and I know you've got your own podcast. You can give that a little plug. What's it called?
Worth the Wait.
Worth the Wait.
Tune in.
Benjamin Waite. Worth the Wait.
Yep.
Beenleigh and Eaglesby's local property podcast. So do check that out. Okay, a listing that didn't go to plan. What happened?
I actually had one recently. It doesn't happen very often, so that's a good thing. This gentleman bought the house from me.
Mm-hmm.
He renovated it. we'd struck quite a good rapport over a number of years. He was ready to sell. He listed it with me. As I always do, I'd go and make recommendations on how we can improve the contract price and the presentation. There was a large tree that I knew would be an issue for buyers, and I recommended he remove that tree. So the tree loppers came in, lopped the tree down. I've seen these guys work before. Lopped the tree down. It took out the power to the house. The tenants were in there. I wasn't on site, but apparently the tree loppers jerried the power back up. I was in Sydney on a weekend away with actually some footy mates that I hadn't seen for a long time. So this all happened on a Friday night. Oh. So we had to scramble around. My sister and I were scrambling around on how to kind of sort that out. It wasn't our fault, obviously, but we were kind of trying to provide service to our client. And then he sacked me for it. And
really?
Yeah. I'm like, man, what did I do wrong? I didn't lock the tree down. I didn't cut the power out. Oh, we worked all night Friday night for it, and
did he sell the house with someone else?
Yeah, he ended up selling it with somebody else. So look, like you just can't win them all.
Well, no, you can't, can you? All right. So questions without notice now. Quick fire round.
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind. All right. 5 quick fire questions. One word to describe your negotiation style.
Transparent.
3 words your clients would use to describe you.
Communication, trustworthy, knowledgeable.
Great. Biggest myth about real estate agents?
Biggest myth. We're not all slimy sleazeballs.
You're not all used car salesmen.
Yes.
Fair enough. Weirdest thing you've seen at an open home that you can say?
Yeah. Well, everybody asks to use a toilet, and I'm like, come on, you can't use a toilet. Everybody asks to use a toilet.
What do you say?
I say, I'm sorry, we've got many people in the home. I'm sorry you can't use a toilet.
Has anyone kicked off about that?
No, everybody understands. They try it on. Everybody understands. I have let some people...
That could be their 5th open home. And
if it's a vacant property... no one's living there, and they want to hang around till the end. Then I'll let them do number ones.
You're going to ask them. Are you doing ones or twos?
I will. Yeah, no, I have.
Wow.
I go, look, do you want to do ones or twos?
You know this is going to make the highlight reels.
Yeah,
of this,
go for it. That's okay. I'm transparent.
Well, you did say that.
Yes, if they want to do a number one, that's okay. If they're happy
so
to,
if they
to wait
say
to leave.
you say one or two, and they say 2, you say I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't.
You haven't ever seen anyone slip out the back door, then, have you?
I don't know if someone's come to me to say number 2, but I would probably, in a humorous fashion, say something along the lines of probably not today.
Try that at your next open home. Okay, if your real estate career was a movie, what would it be called? Top Gun.
Every agent would say that. A movie title.
A Star is Born.
Yeah, I like that. That sounds good.
You got to give me your own. Jaws. I can come up with heaps.
I know. Well, you've had some time to think about it. Oh, whatever I'm going to come up with, we're going to sound really wanky. I don't know. That's a really good question, Adam, and that needs a little bit of thought.
Okay. Well, you haven't got long because this is just about the end.
I know. I really want to give you one. I'm stuck.
All right, I'll give you one more chance after your final question, okay? So if someone is listening and they're considering using
Not too long is the movie title.
Is that actually a movie or is
that...
No,
well, I've made it up.
Right, okay.
Is that am I allowed to do that?
That's fine.
Well, it creates a bit of intrigue.
Sure.
That might be something that somebody might want to pick up and go, well, I wonder what this is about.
Not too long.
No?
Okay. Fair enough. We'll take that.
Okay.
All right, final question.
It wasn't what you're after, Adam.
Final question, and you can look straight down the barrel to give this one if you like.
Okay.
If someone is listening and considering using you as their agent, and they've come to listen to elite agents, real estate agents of SEQ,
yes.
They've put down this, they're in your area, what would you say to them?
Give me a call.
I love it.
No, flick me a text. Happy to help. Whether you're in the area or not, I'm just a property tragic, and I help people buy houses that are nowhere near my area all the time. I probably
So whether it's at Beenleigh or Eagleby or anywhere in between, you can.
I do property development. I've got a couple of other businesses that we work with. I've got an investment management business. I'm very entrepreneurial. I just love talking business.
Fantastic. Ben, look, thanks so much for joining me on Elite Real Estate Agents of SEQ. Okay, it is a podcast for the best of the best. I'm really proud to have had you
I've
on
scraped
here. We'll talk about just how close you were when after the episode. No, but look, please do, if you have been listening and you do know a real estate agent who has given you exceptional service or who you believe is elite in their field, we would love to hear from you. But look, Ben, thanks so much for being a guest on the show, and wish you all the best with your career.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Elite Real Estate Agents of SEQ. If today's guest sounded like the right agent to help with your next move, please reach out. You'll find all their details in the show notes and episode description. And if you're a real estate agent interested in being showcased on the podcast, visit www.podproaustralia.com.au to learn more and register your interest. If you enjoyed the podcast, we'd love it if you could like, share and rate the podcast, and let us know in the comments if there's an agent you've dealt with and you think they should be featured next. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.